So the key there is never stay in one place for too long. Keep moving. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Pellechio, and I'm delighted to be here this afternoon. And just to spend a couple of minutes on myself, and then we'll jump right into peak personal performance. Before I do that, what I want to do is just give you an inventory of what you should have in front of you. You should have the green journal, which has got a pen in it as well. And then you also should have, I'll show you if you can see up here, but you've got kind of a bunch of moves you can make. On the back of your chair is a lime green dyno band. And then you've got a grid here that says it's a visual around energy for an extraordinary life. You can kind of tuck that away a little bit. That's a guidepost for you post our discussion today. And then you've got assessing your personal energy. We'll do that in a little bit, where on a scale from 1 to 10, you're going to rank yourself in terms of the different quadrants of energy. And then we've got a quiz. But before we get into that, as Amy said, I've been with Staples for 21 years, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to do a multitude of different things, starting in finance, and that's been my educational background, launching business machines through our contract division post-acquisition. That was a lot of fun, kind of a business startup, if you will. So that's what we call the product marketing, program marketing. Led the integration of the supply chain, 10,000 associate workforce when Staples acquired Corporate Express. I was in contract sales for about 5 years. That's the B2B selling for Staples, 2 of which were on the West Coast, starting up the Western region, pre the Staples Center. The balance on the East Coast, strategically managing some of our larger Fortune 500 accounts. Ran promotions and merchandising for Staples.com, and as Amy indicated, most recently, my responsibility is for transportation and all of the 3PL work that we do with our outside carriers, of which there's about 150 plus. And then supplier collaboration, which is our Race to the Top initiative, where we work with our OEMs, which is the original equipment manufacturers, in the spirit of trying to reduce packaging so we can not only do what's right for the environment, but collaboratively take cost out of product so that we can remain very competitive in the market. So it's been a phenomenal 21-year career at Staples. And what's most important here for me, as you can see, I'm fairly career focused, but I also am happily married, and we have 2 boys. Mitch, who just turned 13, he's in 7th grade, and Grant, who turned 10 in February. And I'm delighted to have a husband and a partner that really shares in the responsibility of raising healthy and happy children. And that's really where I get my most pleasure from, although as you can appreciate and as you can imagine, balancing the demands of the work, along with the demands of the household, along with the demands of raising a family, et cetera, it's a lot. So about 2.5 years ago or so, Staples introduced the Peak Personal Performance Facilitation coursework, where myself and 11 other folks at Staples had the opportunity to get certified in the ability to kind of just teach and talk about peak personal performance. And I took that as an opportunity not just to give back to others, but also as a constant refresher for myself, because obviously managing energy and managing the capacity of energy you have is a lifelong journey. And again, what's really cool about this program is it's personal, right? It's about everyone's own personal plan. So it's remarkable in that way and simplistic in many ways. I hope you find it interesting. What I'd like to do to start, and this is a little bizarre, but what the heck, right, is I want you to grab your quiz, and at the top it says testing your knowledge of personal energy. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to fill it out. Just go by kind of your initial, don't overthink it. It's 10 questions, it's true or false. So go ahead and take a few minutes and fill that out, and then we'll go through the answers.
Screaming
I'm going to take another minute or two and then wrap it up if you would.
He respects my space and never makes me wait. And he calls exactly when he says he will. He's close to my mother, talks business with my father. He's charming and endearing, and I'm comfortable. But I miss screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain, and it's 2 a.m. and I'm cursing.
Oh, prizes? Thanks, Liz. You want to know what's in it for you? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, is everybody all set with a quiz? Okay. Now, normally, we would hand it over to your buddy at the table and have them correct on your behalf, but we're going to go on the honor system and self-correct. There are no prizes here. This is merely a kind of a baseline understanding, although there's beautiful prizes around us, and Amy will go into how you'll get your hands on these prizes likely tomorrow. But for now, let's take an opportunity to self-correct, and I'm going to go ahead and read the question and give you the answer. I want you to score, and then we're just going to, by show of hands, get a sense for the distribution of how everybody did. Sound like a plan? Okay. There are 3 sources of energy we all have. That is false. There are 4 sources of energy, and I'll go into those shortly. I should eat when I get hungry. That is false. It's too late if you wait till you get hungry. You really should eat every 3 to 4 hours. Number 3, the best way to measure my health is how much I weigh. That is false. Body fat is the best measure. Number 4, at age 40, we begin to lose 2% of our capacity per year. That is false. Good news, that begins at 30. I know, it's not funny, is it? But we got to make lemonade out of lemons, right? Okay, number 5, the most powerful source of energy is your emotions. That is also false. The most powerful source of energy is your purpose. Number 6, the easiest way to build emotional energy in an organization is to say thank you. That is true. Very little level of effort really makes it special for others that you're speaking with. Number 7, I should physically move every 3 hours or so to get my energy flowing. Wrong, that's false. You should move every 90 minutes to maintain your peak energy. And if you can, every 30 minutes, do some type of a small movement of sorts, even if at your desk. Number 8, I can add 7 years to my life by thinking positively. That is true. That is scientifically based evidence. That is true. That's amazing. 7 extra years just for thinking positively. Number 9, the best snack bars have at least 5 grams of carbohydrates for every 100 calories. That is false. The best snack bars have at least 5 grams of protein per 100 calories. And number 10, the best way to know you are getting deep sleep is if you snore. That is also false. A good way to test the quality of your sleep is if you dream. So go ahead and add up. 10 is your denominator. Your numerator will be how many of those you answered correctly. Okay. Anybody out there get a perfect score, 10 out of 10 right? Raise your hand. Wow, we've got 2 people over in the back. Stand up for a moment. That deserves a wild round of applause. That's awesome. Have you taken the test before? Okay, fantastic. Those aren't plants, by the way. Okay, who got 9 out of 10 right? Raise your hands, please. I see 1. Okay, 8 out of 10. All right, we're getting up there now. We've probably got 7. 7 out of 10. Okay, we're going in the right direction. 6 out of 10. More. 5 out of 10. A failing grade, 50%. Congratulations. And we're just going to cluster the rest of it because this is all good, honestly. Who got less than 5 right? Okay, all right, good job. Well, what's wonderful about this is we can only get better from here, right? So let me jump in. I want to just give you something, try to bring some personal thoughts into this as we go through it, but only in the spirit of trying to really make this a contemplative time for you. Really try to not be distracted. Obviously, phones, email. Try to turn yourself off from that. This will go by pretty quickly, and we're going to move around a little bit too, so it's all good. But really try to think about what you're going to get out of this, and use that journal to take down key thoughts that you have. And as we go through the 4 sources of energy and the tips and tricks of kind of what you can do to make a difference in your energy, the amount of energy you have, the quality of your energy, et cetera, just take some notes down, and ideally write down at least one thing that you can start doing in each one of the quadrants of energy. You'll find how easy this is and how we can then kind of work on converting what are rituals into habits, and we'll go into that. But one of the keys that I try to teach the kids, and something that I have kind of worked on for myself, is the whole spirit of resilience. And I like in the Human Performance Institute, which is a website, hpinstitute.com, they have some cool white papers on topic with regard to managing energy. Has a really great definition of resiliency, and so I'll read that to you. Resiliency is not the direct consequence of experiencing a trauma event. It is the struggle to contain the destructive forces of the event and to seek the restorative powers of recovery and renewal in all dimensions that increased resiliency is spawned. So as I like to teach the kids, right, and as, you know, I had children, we started kids at 34, I was 34. So what was nice about that, pretty established in the career, a little bit older, a little more tired, you know, 2 boys tackling. In fact, I wiped out last weekend because I was wearing flip-flops as we were playing baseball, which was a dumb move. But in the spirit of trying to keep up with them, what I try to teach them is that everyone falls down, right? You know, we're all going to fall down. Sometimes we get pushed down. You know, sometimes elements of life are just simply not fair or inexplainable. But the key here is our journey and kind of what we do to respond to that and how we get back up. And so that's really important, right, is the determination of what's in my control and what's not in my control. And so I try to teach our kids that every step of the way, and take the opportunity for those life moments that don't go so well to teach them from it how to get back up. And I think that's a pretty powerful lesson to teach people, and one to work on ourselves. So with that, let me go into, this is a question for all of you. This isn't a quiz. How would you describe your life last year in a single word? We've got A, crazy, B, hectic, C, stressful, and D, all of the above. So let me start with D. How many would say your life last year was D, all of the above? Crazy, hectic, stressful, by show of hands. Okay, I'd say about 30% of the folks have raised their hand. The balance, we fall into the crazy, hectic, stressful. And the point of the matter here is that we all have a lot of demands on us, right? Every day there's a new challenge. I was just speaking with John from PepsiCo and others, really, that, you know, there's no longer a peak season. It seems like every day is a peak season. We don't seem to have the lulls that we've had previously in our lives. Multiple priorities, there's always lots of things going on, travel, et cetera. And the ability for us to simplify our approach to life and learn to stop doing. I don't know about you all, but we're not very good at Staples at the stop doing list. It's very hard for us to take things off the list. For some reason, that's uncle. That's like crying uncle, right? But the fact is, the simplification in our strategies to do that are a continuing struggle. Technology has us on 24/7, and stuff happens. Take a look.
Life comes at you fast. Be smart. Invest with Nationwide. Investments, retirement, insurance.
Nationwide is on your side.
Okay, so just some cute videos that we'll weave in. That's a big kid who just knocked Dad over. Okay, so what's the impact on our lives from all of this? And these are stats. 90% of us do no daily exercise. 50% of us have sleep issues. 30% are clinically depressed. 20% of us have high blood pressure. 80% of us are at risk of disease. And 55% of us, if left to our own devices and without any form of intervention, will die prematurely on average by 12 years. That's pretty uplifting statistics, I'm sure. So the warning signs: loss of energy, fatigue, insomnia, irritability, can't seem to turn it off, overeating, the use of stimulants. And therein lies what happens next, is burnout. So we're going to take a different approach. We're going to learn the tips and the tricks and kind of simple practices that can help us live longer, feel better, perform at our very best, both at work and at home, and have the ability to inspire others in our leadership at work, in our community, or in our own families. So the objective today is to expose you to a few key concepts that will significantly increase your personal energy, the amount of energy you make available to yourself, as well as more effective management techniques for that energy, so that you're operating at your peak and you have the ability to unleash that in others. The core premise of peak personal performance, this is based on scientific research, supported by Harvard and many academia institutions, but this is 30 years of research that's been applied to Olympic champions, to folks in the FBI and special forces, to surgeons, and now to the corporate athlete. So in essence, the point is we live in an increasingly demanding world. And the most critical resource we have as human beings is our energy. And we can actually expand our energy, which is expanding our capacity to perform in high-stress environments without compromising our health or happiness. In fact, when you go through stress, that's not the issue. The issue is your recovery. The issue is the amount of time you take to recover after you've expended a certain amount of energy. That's the biggest opportunity for us. So we can create positive rituals, those things we're signing up to do for a 21-day period, that after 21 days, more than likely to become a habit, which is now a habit like brushing your teeth at least 2, if not 3 times a day, right? It just pulls you. You know you need to do that. It's not so much of a push to get you to do it. Think about how we teach our kids, and even though they may push on us from time to time, and maybe we let them slip from time to time, we hold true to that requirement for them. And after a while, it becomes a habit. And habits then allow us to lead more satisfying and longer lives. So the principles of energy management are that human beings, I mean, this is the scientific, medical facts. We are a multi-integrated, multi-dimensional, fully integrated set of systems, right? Whether we're talking about circadian systems or neural electrical patterns or your sleep cycle or your circulatory systems, your body is made up of a host of different systems. And successfully building that energy capacity and managing it in pursuit of a specific goal is what we call high performance. And as I said before, stress, which is in essence when you're stressing about something, whether you're stressing a muscle because you're building mass, or, you know, I'm up here speaking, right, a little bit of nerves coming up, I choose to kind of hopefully funnel that into something productive for everyone. But that stress, which is the expenditure of energy, that's necessary for us to expand our capabilities in all 4 dimensions of energy. If you don't have any stress, you don't have any energy investment. You're not investing in kind of building out the capability, and therefore no growth. So it's not the stress, it's the recovery that you've got to spend time on with yourself. And that's the pursuit at hand, right? Just not only building the capacity, but then recovering from that. And we'll go into this in a little bit. So people who are fully energized, when you see somebody who's fully energized, how would you describe them? If you could just like shout out a 1-word adjective for me, how do you describe fully energized people? Positive. Cheerful. Say again. Alive. Passionate. Energetic. Right? And people tend to be more creative, more productive, more collaborative, healthier. They live longer lives, longer, healthier lives. And corporations benefit too, right? There's lower healthcare costs associated with people that are fully energized, and corporations tend to experience higher levels of retention. So how many of you ride in airplanes? By a show of hands. I know, right? Okay, anybody been on Southwest Airlines? Okay, good number of you. They've done a nice job differentiating themselves in terms of customer service and the passion of their flight attendants. Take a look.
Good evening, folks. Welcome aboard Southwest Airlines Flight 372, service to Oklahoma City. Those of you that have flown us before know that we do things a little bit differently here on Southwest. Some of us tell jokes, some of us sing, some of us just stand there and look beautiful. I, unfortunately, can do none of those. So here's the one thing that I do know how to do. We're going to shake things up a little bit. I need a little audience participation. Otherwise, this is not going to go over well at all. So here's what I need, especially you guys in the front, because you know what's coming. All right, I need a beat. All right. All I need you to do is stomp and clap, and I'm going to do the rest, because I've had 5 flights today, and I just cannot do the regular boring announcement again. Otherwise, I'm going to put myself to sleep. So, you guys with me? All right. So give me a stomp, clap, clap. Come on, stomp, clap, clap. Stay on beat there. There you go. Keep that going. This is Flight 372 on SWA. The flight attendants on board serving you today. Teresa in the middle, David in the back. My name is David, and I'm here to tell you that shortly after takeoff, first things first, there's soft drinks and coffee to quench your thirst. But if you want another kind of drink, then just holler. Alcoholic beverages will be $4. If a Monster Energy drink is your plan, that'll be $3, and you get the whole can. We won't take your cash, you gotta pay with plastic. If you have a coupon, then that's fantastic. We know you're ready to get to new places. Open up the bins, put away your suitcases. Carry on items, go under the seat in front of you, so none of you have things by your feet. If you have a seat on the road with the exit, we're gonna talk to you, so you might as well expect it. You gotta help evacuate in case we need you. If you don't want them, we're gonna reseat you. Before we leave, our advice is put away your electronic devices. Fasten your seatbelt, then put your trays up. Press the button to make the seat back raise up. Sit back, relax, have a good time. It's almost time to go, so I'm done with the rhyme. Thank you for the fact that I wasn't ignored. This is Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard. Thank you very much for my beat. I appreciate that. You will not get that on United Airlines, I guarantee.
All right. So again, these, and there's a great grid in front of you that's got a lot of summation of some kind of fun facts that you can take with you. But these are the 4 buckets of, or powers of personal energy. One is physical. Think of physical as the quantity of energy you have. The next is emotional. That's the quality of your energy. Followed by your mental energy, which is your focus. Followed by your purpose. You can call that kind of spiritual or your purpose. That's your direction. That's the way that you direct your energy for yourself. And all of these sources of energy are connected. So when you think about these 4 sources, think about a bucket and think, about the fact that if you've got a leak in one, you've got a leaky bucket, right? It's going to drain the rest. So it's really important that you take a look and consider each one of these sources of energy in terms of how you take care of yourself. So when you're talking about building the personal capacity, this was one of the quiz questions, right? You take a look, the timeline at the bottom, the horizontal axis is age, volume's the vertical. What happens at age 30 is your capacity, again, if left unattended to, your energy dwindles. Your energy goes down. That is a scientific fact. And yet, your demand on your life goes up. So by the time you hit 40, you actually have more demands than you have the energy and the capacity to handle those demands. And that's why it's just so very important for us to take care of ourselves. Energy is highly contagious. This is a really cool quadrant, right? Because whether it's positive or negative, energy is contagious, right? We know when we're hanging around with somebody, or if there's somebody at work that's just, no matter what, they're skeptics, they're negative, really downers, right? How do we feel when we're around somebody who just never sees the positive in anything? Are those people fun to be around? Is that a yes, Mark? I see you, Mark. Admiral, excuse me. You know, they're not, right? I mean, it's kind of a downer to be around it. And yet when you're around people who are positive, then they make you more positive. They make you happier and feel good about it. So when you look at these quadrants, we want to be over to the upper right and bottom right. We want to have high energy and positive emotions. That's when we're winning. And when we need to recover or oscillate and kind of tend to ourselves, we want to be in that low energy but positive quadrant, what we refer to as waning. So this oscillation on those two right-hand quadrants is our ability to be fully engaged in the moment, right? To have that full powerful energy, full focus, you're right there now, and then have the ability to strategically and fully disengage. And what does that look like for us? And there's techniques and there's methods that you can use that allows you that oscillation, which is what's essential for your recovery. So the fundamental principles are about engaging these four powers, balancing how we expend and recover, unleashing your energy through new daily habits or rituals that become habits, and then energizing others, community, family, professionals, through your own leadership. So this is the next part. Grab your other sheet of paper, which is titled Assessing Your Personal Energy at the top. And again, this is just for you. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute best, how would you today assess your personal energy in the physical, emotional, mental, and purpose? Give you a couple of minutes to just circle how you're feeling. What, no music, Phil? I'm kidding. Wow. Okay. Phil turned the music off, so I guess that concludes our personal assessment. The key here is to really take a look at which ones you're at your best, right? That's not to say that you don't want to invest anything further, and which ones you then see the opportunity to invest more in. I'll give you another minute to complete that so you can keep it.
Wow, your hair got so long. Yeah, I love it, I really do. Norma Jean, ain't that the song we'd sing in the car? Driving downtown, top down, making the rounds, checking out the bands on Doheny Avenue. Yeah, life throws you curves.
Am I in trouble, Admiral Mark?
You learn to swerve. Me, I swung and I missed, and the next thing you know, I'm reminiscing, dreaming old dreams, wishing old wishes, like you would be back again. I wake up and teardrops that fall.
How are we doing? Everybody all set? Okay, does by show of hands, how many folks feel that you have an opportunity to move the needle in any one or all of the quadrants? Perfect. You're in the right place. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about each one of the four powers of energy. We're going to start with growing your physical energy. And remember that this physical fitness through nutrition, exercise, breathing, sleep, that's the launching pad for the resiliency in all the other dimensions, right? Mental, emotional, and purpose. So when you're hungry, let's start with nutrition. When you're hungry, what happens to your mood or your performance or your well-being? What happens, somebody just shout it out there, an adjective. What happens when you're hungry? Cranky. You lose focus. You got to stop and eat, right? Irritable. Anybody get irritable? Anybody hit a wall and then just you get kind of numbed out and then you get a little ornery? Okay. Well, obviously, when you're hungry, and remember one of the quiz questions, you don't want to wait till you're hungry to give yourself something to eat. And really the key here is you want to eat until you're satisfied, not until you're stuffed, right? That would be the perfect world. Sometimes, me included, it's hard to put the fork down when you're eating scalloped potatoes. But when you're hungry, you want to eat something. And even if you're not hungry, you really want to try to eat something every 2 to 3 hours. So take a look at this 92-year-old spectacular woman.
Mike, what is your deal, man?
Oh, come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend says.
Baby.
Mike.
Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better. Mike, I'm all bet. That hurt.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
That was the Super Bowl commercial several years ago now. Betty White's 92 years old, which is unbelievable. And you'd argue she's in her peak of her career right now. When she talks about what keeps her with high energy and motivated, she talks about the fact that she's always busy. She's always active. That's been kind of the key to her longevity. Something for sure to aspire to. So let's talk about the nutrition, and we're going to go through very basic concepts again, which is why start thinking about those things you can do different starting right now that are going to help fuel you with more nutritional food. So you think about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you want to be eating those foods that you need, those foods that are good for you, good for your body, fruits and vegetables, grains, low-fat dairy, protein. And only 20% of the time you want to, indulge, whether it's in alcohol, that'd be mine. I like a sidecar for anybody who's going to be at the bar later. Chips and French fries, high-fat meats, sweetened sodas, etc. So just keep that in mind. Proportionally speaking, 80% of what you're putting on your plate, you want that to be what you need. And this is every meal, every day. Okay, another question for you. What role does glucose, oh gosh, I'll say that 10 times fast. What role does glucose play in your body? A, it provides fuel to your cells. B, glucose enables you to properly digest your food. C, glucose serves to bring your blood sugar levels down. Or D, none of the above. Who thinks it's A? Show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, under 10. B. Was that, did you? No. Did you want to come up here? No, you don't. C. Okay. D, none of the above. All right, that's promising because if you all didn't raise your hand, we're going to have to get up there and roust you. I know you, how many took a plane in today? How many just got here today? How many are dealing with the unbelievable air conditioning? Not yet. You will. Okay. Okay, the answer is A. Glucose provides fuel to your cells. Now, I am in no way, shape, or form medically certified. I might be certifiable. I'm not medically certified here to talk about the role, but this is kind of straight out of just some facts, right? All of the cells, this for me helped give me perspective because I'm really not medically inclined in terms of really understanding what's going on in my body. But all of our cells in our body, especially our brain cells, use glucose for fuel. And so when you think about when you're digesting carbohydrates, be it vegetables, fruits, grains, those are broken down into simple sugars by the process of how we digest. This sugar then enters our bloodstream as glucose, and our level of blood sugar rises. Our pancreas is responsible for secreting insulin, which it's a hormone that will be secreted or released into the blood in order to bring those glucose levels down to normal levels. And that's kind of that's how your body's being moderated. So when we overload on sugar, right, in addition to the normal process of eating healthy, when we overload ourselves with too much alcohol or too much candy or tobacco, or we're highly stressed, the pancreas, in response to that, is releasing more insulin, and chances are too much insulin, which then plummets our blood sugar level below acceptable normal levels. And as a result of that, we get fatigue, we have mood swings, insomnia, mental confusion, etc. So the purpose of that, if you take anything from that, just take the fact that it's about the regulation of the sugar in your body. Understanding that when you go into abnormalities of your intake, you've got insulin trying to combat against that, and as a result, there's those feelings of being, bloated or sluggish or tired, etc. And necessitates the need to really maintain a more consistent, frequent, digestion of some good foods for you, so that you keep it less erratic. You keep the blood sugar level less erratic. So let's take a typical look at Joe here. It's a typical day for Joe. He's not eating often and he's not eating the right stuff. So 7 a.m. rolls around, couple of cups of coffee. 10 o'clock he goes and grabs himself a Danish, glazed with some great sugar, and another cup of coffee. And then 12:30 he skips the salad bar and goes to the hot fudge sundae and the mega sandwich, which God only knows what's in there. 4 p.m. boosts himself with another cup of coffee, and then eats late, 9 o'clock, as Joe's working all day, and he indulges in a nice big piece of beef and some potatoes and some ice cream and all sorts of good stuff on his plate, including an ear of corn. So when you take a look at Joe, and if you look at those two kind of steady lines, those are the bars of normalcy, if you will, and the red line there shows the erratic nature. Either Joe is overfueling himself, which again will make him feel sluggish and tired, and he's also storing fat when he's overfueling himself, or he's falling below when his body releases more insulin and his blood sugar level comes down. Now he's underfueled and he's experiencing low energy, fatigue, etc. And he may be conserving fat, but he's burning muscle, thereby slowing his metabolism. So how many folks envision from time to time eating this way? Okay, that's pretty good. So a better day for Joe is to eat light and eat often, right? The strategic fueling, starting with some fresh fruits and granola, and still have your coffee. That's the want food. That should be 20% of your 100% equation. Lunchtime rolls around, he's doing sushi, vegetables, looks like some sticky white rice. He's got an apple, granola. Dinner, he's looking at some veggies and some chicken, and he's looking at some, I guess that would be nuts. Yeah, I'd call that nuts for his midnight snack. And as a result of that, you can see that he's maintaining some consistency and he's not erratic, and as a result, he's going to feel a whole lot better. Now, obviously, you've got to consult with physicians before you change your diet, but there's nothing radical here. This is just being a little bit smarter about what we eat. So, messages here, 3 meals a day. Breakfast is crucial. In fact, they'll tell you, most folks will tell you, whether it's your doctor, your fitness instructor, that you really want to eat within 60 minutes of waking up. Even if, and especially if you're going to go work out, whether you work out or not in the morning, you got to eat something within an hour of waking up, even if you just swig back a glass of orange juice. Something that gives your body some nutrition so that it doesn't start kind of looking to your muscles for that. Space your eating 3 to 4 hours apart. And eat to cleanse, not to clog. So that gets back to your 80% of your need foods and 20% of your wants. So take a minute in this physical or this nutritional piece to write down what you may do differently starting right now.
First time that I saw you, looking like you did. We were young, we were restless, just two clueless kids. But if I knew then what I know now, I'd fall in love.
Okay, we're gonna keep going, okay? Everybody take a look at your palm, your own palm and your hand, okay? Fabulous news, this is your portion control. So the amount of food you eat, when you take a look at the 5 handfuls of food per meal on what you're looking at to your left or right, 40% grains, so two palmfuls, 40% of your plate should be filled with fruits or vegetables, and then you've got 20% filled with protein-rich foods. And your portion size should never be more than, and it shouldn't be heaping over, you know, it's not as much as you can grab in your hands, it's as much as what comfortably sits in your hand. Think about that for your portion. Again, pretty straightforward, basic, easy stuff, right? We just have to do it. Snacks, low glycemic snacks are better. So that's low in sugar, right? So we've got the almonds, the apples, the yogurt, and the beauty of our information age is you can go into any Google ask.com and kind of take a look at a host of lists of options for you. And one of the things that I've done at work, because I would inevitably visit the vending machine, which is typically not filled with good stuff, is I'll have walnuts, almonds, I've got rice cakes, I've got the all-natural peanut butter if I want to get a little heftier with a snack, because I get hungry often. But just think about how you stock yourself during the course of the day so that when you need to reach for something, it's healthy and you've got your portion control. So medium glycemic is berries and bananas, et cetera. And of course, high glycemic would be your French fries and the bagels and the candy, et cetera. And if you're counting and measuring calories, it's 100 to 150 calories per snack. So the good news on chocolate lovers, especially with the dark chocolate, I think we learned that, and I know the Dove chocolate really took off in terms of revenue, is that it's healthy for us to eat dark chocolate, just like it's healthy for us to have some red wine in moderation, which is fantastic news as well. And chocolate can reduce your risk of heart disease, lowers your chance of having a stroke, 17% reduction in chronic inflammation, and of course your outlook's a whole lot better. So again, we have some really cool things we can indulge in that are really good for us. So beverage, we should be sipping water all day long, and actually that's not I know it's, you know, when we stare at that big 16-ounce glass of water, it can seem like a daunting task. But just, and this is one of the things I do because I can't stand the thought of paying $1.20 out of a vending machine for a bottle of water that I can get for 12 cents. So I'll just buy a case at, you know, when it's on sale at Staples. No, not necessarily, but if it's on sale there. And just bring it into your office, and then you can just break open a bottle whenever you need it. But you've got to drink that a lot. Alcohol, coffee, those are want, not need food, so you've got to use them sparingly. And of course, soda is a want, right? And there's a lot of sugar in soda, so you want to be careful about that. So, in control of your energy to eat well, you follow the 80-20 rule, eat light, eat often. Remember that whole peace sign which shows you protein, grains, carbs, etc. Eat until you're satisfied, not stuffed. That's a real tough one. I remember Monsignor Michael at the church that we go to, not as much as we should go to, I might add, but he actually lost a lot of weight by chewing his food more thoroughly. I mean, he notably dropped a lot of weight. I asked him, what have you done to drop so much weight? And he literally said, I'm just spending a lot of time chewing my food and really savoring every bite. Again, something really simple that'll keep us from devouring the plate. Okay, so now movement for peak personal performance. Do not try this trick at home.
Protecting your purchases. That's using your credit card wisely.
This is the women's segment, so you'll appreciate men. A little humor on your behalf. Anyway, okay, so physical energy, right? That's your capacity, that's the amount, the quantity of energy that you have. So you can get that through movement, exercise, breathing, and sleeping. And remember, that is the launching pad for building resilience and growth in all other energy sources. So recommendation on movement, and this was one of the quiz questions, you should try to make a small move every 30 minutes if you can. Stretch, get up from your chair. It's really easy. Make a big move, 90 to 120 minutes every so often, right? 90 minutes, just get up and walk, climb stairs, don't take the elevator, stand up and stretch, etc. Okay, so now we're going to exercise. I would like everybody to get up and give yourself a little bit of space. You don't have to give each other a lot, maybe just like a half an arm's length. And we're going to do a little bit of exercise to get the blood moving. I really want to see active participation. We're going to do the dyno bands next, so this is not the dyno bands exercise, but really get into this, okay? Because it's going to make you happy, I promise. Here we go. It's the chicken. I want to see everybody moving. Come on. Follow the chicken. Come on, let's go, guys, girls. Some of you aren't moving. You're going to be called up here. Let's go, Boogie. Feel free to spin around if you want. Yeah, Liz, go, baby. Okay, there's a big prize for the winner here. Why are your hands behind your head? Don't do that. All right, let's clap. Okay, kick those legs out left, out right. We're almost done, don't worry. All right. Okay, stay standing for a moment. Grab your dyno bands, okay? Those are those green, lime green things that look like a decorative item on the back of your chair. Okay, has anybody used the Dynaband before? Familiar with the Dynaband? Okay, I'm sorry, I know I can't remember your name, but the beautiful woman in the back, can you come up? That'd be you, who just turned around. Come on up. And Liz, come on up. Yes, it's still you. Come on up, seriously. Oh, she doesn't want to. Does anybody else want to come up? Any brave soul want to join Liz? We're just going to teach you a couple of moves. This is a Dynaband. Pack it in your, come on up. Awesome, thank you for volunteering. Oh, good, well, more the merrier. Come on up. Okay. I know. Okay, what does this say? All right, keep your thoughts to yourselves. All right, so this is just, the Dynaband is really cool because you can take it with you anywhere, business travel, anything, right? So Liz, why don't you start with the first exercise?
Sure, what would you like me to do?
Just do something.
So, let's do...
See what she's doing? Put the Dynaband under your foot.
Come on.
See how she's pulling? Your wrist should be facing you, and you pull up, right? Nice, even, consistent pulls. Feel that tension? Everybody, feel it? These are good Christmas gifts, good holiday gifts. Okay. And I'm sorry, what is your name? Say again? One more time. Patricia. Okay, Patricia, I know she's been dying to come up here. Patricia, why don't you lead us in another exercise? I'll try to describe it. Okay, behind the neck or the shoulders. Up, over the waist, up. Good, awesome. Everybody's participating, love it. Awesome, see how easy this is? This is a piece of cake. No injuries, please, we're not covered. Okay, Rashida, did I pronounce your name correctly? Perfect. Oh, cool. Okay, can you show us an exercise and then we're gonna take our seats. But go ahead, let's see what Rashida's got to show us. We're gonna jump rope. I'm kidding.
Like this,
so keep the, about what, 4 inches?
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna, again, focus on the stretch. Deep breathe, inhale. Remember, hold your breath on the count of exhaling twice as long as the inhale. Focus on your center. And your core. Or your belly. That'd be me. Okay, awesome. Let's give these women a round of applause. Thanks, guys. All right, so now that we're energized, let's sit back down. We're doing really good. You're more than halfway through. So when we talk about the active recovery, and we're talking about really aiming to breathe deep, this is another one. I do not do, and I have to remind myself all the time to breathe. It's really easy not to breathe, and yet it's so very easy to breathe. So you really want to avoid shallow breathing. You really want to look to breathe deep, right? You aim for that, one really deep inhale, and then when you're exhaling, it's very slowly. Think about twice the inhale in terms of length of time. And that's so critical to bring oxygen into your body, but it also is such a major stress reliever. If you're ever in a situation where you're uptight, or you feel like you're just going too fast and you need to slow down and you need to take a break, there's nothing better than just deep breathing and repetitions of whatever number you want to do, 20, 50, and do it all the time. It's so amazingly good for your body, and it's so easy. And it does require conscious practice because it's really easy not to breathe. Okay, so really, really try to do that. It will help wonders. It's really good for you. Okay, my favorite, well, it's not my favorite, but it's one of them, sleep, right? That's really important for us. That's when your body, you think about sleep as your passive recovery. This is when you're kind of re-energizing your body. This is when your muscles are kind of growing. This is kind of the expansion and contraction of your muscles overnight. And really 7 to 8 hours overnight sleep, good sleep, is really important for you. That's not too much sleep. Obviously, if you wake up and you're really groggy from that, maybe you try it a couple of times before you give up on it for yourself. But it's really important. And one of the questions, I believe, was, the best test of getting a sound night's sleep. It's dreaming. That's the best test of getting a good night's sleep, is when you're dreaming. So taking naps, going on vacation, really resting, that passive recovery is really, really important. Okay, so many people obviously, right, focusing on physical, whether it's immediate gratification or just kind of the thing to do, right? That's a lot of people focus on that. It's really important. We said it's the launching pad for building resiliency and all these other areas of energy. But really the greatest energy and the source of energy in our life fall within the other dimensions, and purpose being the strongest, most compelling force of energy that one can have. So again, physically charged, we're emotionally at our best, we're mentally focused, and we're purposefully aligned. That's kind of what you want to nail in all 4 sectors of energy. So enhancing your emotional energy. Think about what lights you up. When you think about, what am I doing when I'm really energized and when I'm really jazzed? Think about what you're doing. So, for me, just to kind of throw out a couple of examples, I really get energized when I hear the kids laugh. I mean, that hearty, nothing held back, authentic, genuine laugh because we've done something funny or silly really puts things into perspective. When I think about at work, when I get most jazzed or when I find myself most enthusiastic, it's typically when someone has thanked me for helping them. That might be one way where I get really jazzed. Or if I'm working with a supplier, because I really believe in 50-50 propositions that are good for both sides and finding a way together. When I'm able to accomplish that through a negotiation, and it's not necessarily a price negotiation, it can be a negotiation on a solution, that really gets me jazzed up. So think about what really lights you up and what you're doing when you're being, really jazzed. And you really want to try to have as much of that in your life as you possibly can. And that's what we like to refer to when we talk about playing to your strengths. So when you're coaching people at work and you say, hey, what are you really good at? Because chances are, whatever you're really good at when you're doing it, you're really jazzed, you're really lit up. Think about that. And then think about how you make that the majority of how you spend your time at work, for instance. Now, obviously, we all have our share of the grind of work and the elements of work that we don't find as much fun, but you really don't want that to be the majority of your time, right? Because that's, chances are, going to be what depletes you. So if you have a couple, as I speak, if you have a couple of things that are resonating for you individually, just jot them down, those things that jazz you up and light you up, so that you can really kind of harness that for future consideration. Conversely, you got to think about what depletes you. So what's happening when you feel like the life is just getting sucked right out of you? What's going on? What's happening? So I think, for me, if anybody's fighting, I hate it when the kids are fighting. Like, if they want to beat the crap out of each other, I just assume they do it out of my sight. Like, I don't want to see it. It just drives me nuts. Now, I grew up in a family of 5, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. We used to, beat the crap out of each other when no one was looking. And when no one was looking is probably the key point for me. I don't like it when the boys fight. And I know that's inevitable. I did it. It bugs me. So that's kind of drains me. At work, for me, I don't like self-serving behavior. I don't like it when I see somebody operating with a hidden agenda or with their own agenda that's self-serving. That just drives me nuts, because I believe there's a lot of opportunity for everybody to be successful, and I think it's a bloody waste of time, and that generally will deplete me being around that. So think about what depletes you, right? Because this is, again, our ability to control the environment within which we operate. We are in control of that. There are some things out of our control, there are things in our control. What's in our control is understanding what motivates the heck out of us, what drains the life out of us, and to be able to evolve your environment to play to what lights you up is in our absolute control. So relationships are also very important. Good, healthy relationships, very important for enhancing one's emotional health and well-being. But as we all know, sometimes, good intentions kind of go astray. So take a look.
Come on.
AmeriQuest Mortgage, proud sponsor of the NFL.
That's cute. Okay. I know, right? I didn't do it, really. Yeah, okay. I just walked in on you. All right. This is really cool, this next piece. This is a test of emotional altitude. And I don't know if you've ever been asked, but I'll ask you, and jot it down if it's something that you can answer for yourself. What age would you be if you did not know how old you are? Or if you didn't know how old you were. What age would you be? How would you rank your age right now? Oh, we got age 5 over in the left, my left. Good answer. So what age would we be, right? Some of us feel like we're older than we are. Some of us feel like we're younger and we are never going to grow up. What's really cool is, the importance of mindfulness. And in 1982, it was a Harvard study that went from like 79 to 82 in terms of the length of the study, preparation for it. But Ellen Langer, who was and still is, I believe, a Harvard professor of psychology and focuses on mindfulness, she did this really cool experiment where she literally filled 2 buses full of older men, ages in their 70s and their 80s, and literally sent 2 vans up, driving 4 hours north to a sprawling old monastery in New Hampshire, and basically dropped off these 2 groups of men. They were kind of, I want to say it was 1 week apart, I'm not clear on that piece, but essentially they redid this monastery to be 22 years earlier. So they dropped these guys off into a place that was 22 years earlier, 1959, and they had everything changed. They had, black and white TVs. They all had licenses that showed that they were currently, 22 years younger. Everything was decorated as if it was really 22 years earlier. They had one group, the first group that stayed 1 week, they were instructed, pretend to be this age. Pretend that you are 22 years younger than you are today and that you're living in the 1950s. And to the second group, who arrived 1 week later, they told this group of 70 and 80-year-old men to stay present and reminisce about the 1950s. And so, when we think about memory loss, and these are very powerful studies that, as a result of which have made their way into psychology curriculums today, that we've often blamed memory loss is often blamed on aging, but it actually can be reversed if you give the elderly more reasons to remember facts. And this is, again, scientific evidence. So before I tell you the results of these 2 kind of pilot groups, if you will, later studies that were done by Ellen Langer and some of her colleagues showed that if you simply, this is how simple it can be, if you simply give nursing home residents plants to take care of and control over certain decisions, like maybe they get to greet people coming in, the visitors, or maybe they get to decide what activities they're going to sign up for, that it actually improves their psychological and physical health and their longevity. They actually live longer when you give them that sense of responsibility, which I think is pretty amazing. And then you flash back to these 2 groups of men, and there were all sorts of tests performed. Again, these were scientific tests. There was a battery of cognitive tests and physical tests, and they looked at the men before and after their environment. And after 1 week, there were dramatic positive changes. Their height, their weight, their posture, their hearing, their vision, their intelligence tests had all improved after just 1 week. And the same phenomenon took place in either group, whether you were the group who was acting 22 years younger than you were, or whether you were the group that was just in that environment kind of reminiscing about the good old days. But there was markedly more advancement in the men that were actually told, act like you're 22 years younger. And the men that impersonated themselves as being younger actually seemed to have bodies that were younger. They were more agile, they were more limber, which is pretty amazing, because the point here is that the aging process is really less fixed than most people think. And it gets back to your quality of your mental state, right? Your mindfulness. So really very powerful lesson, I think, for all of us in terms of remaining young and understanding what's in my control and what can I do something about and what's not in my control. So tips to enhance your emotional energy. Emotional energy, it's just being grateful. So you can do, every morning I read, there's a lot of books. That's the good news. There's a lot of little fun things to do that just give you occasion to pause and be reflective for the day ahead of you, whether you're going to write in a gratitude journal or even think to yourself, what are the 3 things I'm most grateful for in my life right now? And kind of bringing yourself to go through that helps you really think more positively and appreciate what you do have. To reading, excerpts, daily prayer, whatever it is, right? It's not even necessarily religious or spiritual in nature, but just more purposeful living and thinking that allows you to slow down and be more appreciative are really important for your emotional energy, which again is the quality of your energy and how your energy, feels, right? It's positive. Choosing to win versus whine, having fun, laughing, right? Laughing is just the best medicine. And, I laugh all the time at work, and I don't think that makes me any less serious in terms of being a professional. In fact, studies show that leaders who laugh and have some form of self-humility are actually more effective, which to me makes perfect sense. But hanging out with the right people, creating your own kind of zone, and there's a cool website, Blue Zone, which talks about longevity and people all over the world and what makes them happy. Next, we're going to shift to focusing your mental energy, right? That's your focus. So take a look at how these gorillas are not necessarily able to focus.
Okay, I've been working on this plan for 3 years, and today's the day.
Okay.
Every Friday, the same Bud Light delivery guy takes the same route past us.
Okay.
You're the only one who can make the leap.
Okay.
When I say go, you jump over, grab some Bud Light, and jump back.
Okay.
Okay, here he comes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and go.
What'd you say?
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Seriously, what'd you say?
Okay, so expanding your mental energy, right? The mental energy, how well you are at focusing your energy. My dad passed away just about 4 years ago. He was very active. It was a sudden loss. I guess that's an okay way to go if you've got to go. But very, jovial, played tennis all the time, had legs of a 45-year-old. My mom at 84, she's doing really well. She's a very independent person. She's got 2 households she's maintaining, which I'd argue is really dumb, and we're trying to kind of move her away from that. But she does a lot of crossword puzzles. She plays bridge often. They have hand and foot at the clubhouse on Friday nights. And she does a lot to keep her mental focus going. I mean, she's just always enjoyed it. She reads a lot. So, all of us know how much we do to keep our mind going, and the ways that we can build our mental energy. Reading, they say even walking can build your mental energy, and how important that is. And so the point here is really understanding how are you going to keep exercising your mind and your brain so that it stays very active. And that's really, really important, especially the older we get. And there's a lot of fun things you can do to exercise the brain, and I'm sure you all could collaborate with each other, and if this was a longer session, we'd probably do some breakouts, but really don't leave that area of your energy unattended to. So again, the ability to turn off, a lot of people meditate, which is, I am not somebody who does. It's probably because I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. It's probably one of my biggest areas where my mind's always going in a lot of different directions, and the ability to slow down and kind of be here now and focus on the immediate task at hand instead of multitasking. I'm emailing on a conference call, opening mail. I mean, it's just, that's really not good for you. It basically, you're just spreading yourself too thin, and so you're not really focused in any one area. So really paying attention to how you slow down, be in the full moment where you are, whether it's talking to a loved one, with a loved one, or your children, or somebody at work, and really setting time aside every day to connect. And a lot of folks will do this through connecting with nature. A lot of folks, again, will meditate, but it's really important for you to work on the ability to be fully engaged where you are and understand the tips and tricks you can work on to build that to the extent your mind's racing a mile a minute. So tapping the energy of your purpose, I just wanted to just real quick take you to 1962 with JFK, who was at Rice University in Houston, talking to 35,000 people with a very purposeful speech that you're likely familiar with in terms of the mission to land someone on the moon.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
So very purposeful, right? 7 years later, 3 men actually landed on the moon. 7 years later, and at the time that JFK was having this discussion with 35,000 people and pointing at it, folks thought it was just impossible. It was almost a ludicrous thought, many folks felt, and yet 7 years later, it was accomplished. And so that's really all about kind of directing your energy to a higher purpose. And as evidenced there, it's very powerful when you direct your energy towards something and you become very purposefully aligned to that objective, if you will, and that's how you put the rest of your life in perspective along the way. Very, very powerful. So when you think about purpose, right, and there's different ways, there's, writing a purpose statement. How many folks here have, by show of hands, how many folks here have a kind of life's mission all mapped out? What you want to accomplish in your life, what your purpose is in life. How many people actually have that mapped out? Right, I mean, not very many, under 10 for sure, and that's very, very common, and yet, we know, right, as professionals, we know that we're very goal-oriented. We know that if we put something down in terms of I'm going to accomplish X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get my team rallied around this, and we're going to kind of collectively identify this, and then we're going to put resources against it and priorities against it, and we're going to measure it, because you can't really manage what you don't measure, right? And we get there. And yet, for our own lives, very few of us have actually taken the opportunity to write, what does this world mean to us? What's it going to look like? What is our contribution? What do we want it to be? And so we talk about, what gets you up in the morning. Some folks, hey, I just need a paycheck. Hey, I want to send my kids to the best schools. I love adventure. It's just understanding what drives you and understanding what your purpose is, or thinking about what your purpose is in life, and then aligning yourself towards it is incredibly powerful. And there are a multitude of resources on the web that you can, just Google in, how do I write my own personal mission statement? And there's very easy tools. It's really kind of, what do you want to be known for? And when you look at where accumulating more toys fit, right? And we already know, it's great to get the shiny new car and the new bauble and everything else, but that's really not what makes us happy. And it's really not at all what makes us happy. And in fact, many people that you think should be happy because they've got more money than God, in fact, are not. And what makes people happy is having a purpose and then kind of moving towards that purpose and having legacies and everything that goes with it is really what jazzes somebody up and makes them happy. So take a look. Let me just back up for 1 second. This is Mr. Holland Opus. Anybody see that movie? This is a music teacher who basically got a job as a music teacher in high school because he needed to pay the bills. His dream in life was to produce that one piece that would become famous and that he'd be recognized for. So along the way, while he was making this incredible difference in the lives of many students, he felt almost like he wasn't achieving his potential and wasn't achieving what he really wanted to until his retirement, when everything kind of fell into place and he really appreciated and understood, not so much for the first time, but to some degree to the first time, just how impactful he had been to the lives of many.
Now, what is that?
I don't know.
What, you can't hear what's going on in the auditorium?
Oh, yeah, I hear it.
Well, there's something going on in there. It isn't supposed to be.
Or it could be summer program.
No, the summer program don't start for another couple of weeks.
missed him, Mr. Holland.
I'll find my slide.
Hello. Our master of ceremonies seems to be a little late, so I guess it's up to me to begin. When word first got out that the music program was cut and about the retirement of my husband, well, I've never seen such a response from the community. Oh, looks like my watch is fast. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present our governor and Kennedy High School alumnus, the most honorable Gertrude Lang.
It's been a long time.
So much.
Thank you.
My apologies for my tardiness, and Principal Walters, I'd like you to know, yes, I brought a note from my mother. Mr. Holland had a profound influence on my life, on a lot of lives, I know. And yet I get the feeling that he considers a great part of his own life misspent. Rumor had it he was always working on this symphony of his, and this was going to make him famous, rich, probably both. But Mr. Holland isn't rich, and he isn't famous, at least not outside of our little town. So it might be easy for him to think himself a failure. And he would be wrong, because I think he's achieved a success far beyond riches and fame. Look around you. There is not a life in this room that you have not touched. And each one of us is a better person because of you. We are your symphony, Mr. Holland. We are the melodies and the notes of your opus. And we are the music of your life.
Pretty cool, right? So when we talk about this success, the enduring success of the four key dimensions, and we talk about, the legacy, right? That's the extending part of ourselves. That's creating a platform for the next generation's success. That's our higher mission or our higher calling in terms of what we want to accomplish here on earth. That's around your mission and your purpose in life. And it doesn't have to be something really crazy. We'll show you a couple of examples of some purposeful kind of mission statements, for example. But the point is that you're taking your values and your passions around what matters most to you, and you're getting that purposefully aligned. And then you're going to have positive impacts on people now, and that's kind of the significance and kind of the counting of what's happening along the way, the happiness of enjoying the pleasure and the contentment in your life and what gives you that pleasure, and knowing what gives you that pleasure and seeking that pleasure so that it's a larger part of how you live. And then there's the achievement, the winning, right? The accomplishing your goals, whatever they may be. So here's an example from Gandhi, who, you know, we may not all agree on kind of what his principles were in terms of kind of non-violent protesting and civil disobedience. He got married when he was 13 years old. I believe he was married to his wife for 61 years, was thrown in jail many a time, was responsible in large part to the independence of India from Great Britain. I think a year after that independence was achieved, a fanatic shot him and killed him. But this was a man who was very purposefully aligned and very clear on what that looked like for himself, and was very much founded on his own values and his own principles and what rang true to himself. And so, very simple, right? But this was the basis by which he lived his life. And one would argue, although he had definitely some twists and turns and not a great, you know, outcome in terms of how his life ended here on earth, my sense would be that he was incredibly fulfilled. He never did win the Nobel Peace Prize, but I think it was acknowledged as such that that was amiss in terms of not awarding that to him. The next example is an example of a CEO that, again, a lot of demands in life, like we all have, but, you know, his own personal purpose example, or for himself, to live life completely, honestly, and compassionately, with a healthy dose of realism mixed with the imagination and dreams that all things are possible if I set my mind on finding the answers, to be a good husband, father, and citizen known for unselfish assistance to people and causes, to make a difference by giving back to the community and the people who need a hand, to never stop learning and experiencing new things, to help my family, particularly my grandchildren, be all they can be, do the work that I love, that keeps me sharp and having fun. You see how that just beautifully ties together everything we're talking about today. So I would encourage you to really take a shot at doing it because you're going to find a lot of meaning from it. So you know you're on purpose when you're alive, when you have tons of energy, when work doesn't feel like it. So if you're doing something you really love at work, the days are going by really fast, right? Time flies, you thrive by helping others, you just have a lot of energy. Conversely, we know when we're off purpose, and that's the good news, is our body and our minds will tell us, right? We have barometers in our bodies and within ourselves to tell us when we're off purpose. We're grinding away. You know, maybe we're not sleeping well. Maybe we're having too much to drink, too much coffee, too much of whatever, right? We're not performing at our best and we know it. We have low energy. We just don't feel right. We just don't feel great. And maybe we're irritable and our relationships are strained. So again, the good news there is that our bodies and our minds and our physical state are telling us these things, and we know how to do something about it. So the writing the purpose statement, another way you could look at it, and I did this a few years ago, was just picturing that you're 85 years old. There's a couple ways to do it, right? You could picture you're 85 years old, and one of your grandkids asks you what your life was all about. How would you answer that? So if you took some time for yourself and just said, you know, what if I was 85 right now and my youngest grandson or granddaughter or, you know, other relative came to me and said, what was your life about? What would you craft? You know, what would you craft as to be kind of, wow, this is what I would want to say my life is all about? Because when you identify that, then you have the ability to go after it and course correct where you need to. There's also been exercises where you can envision, you know, what do I want people saying at my wake? You know, if I were dead and there was a service for me and my grandson or granddaughter or son or daughter got up and in a heartfelt way, in a deep, authentic way, talked about me, what would I want them to say about me? And how would I want them to describe me? And so you can actually go through that and write everything down and understand, okay, this is how I want to show up. This is how I want to show up in my life. and really then put a plan against achieving it. So when we talk about the power of purpose, which as you remember from the quiz, this is the most important kind of source of energy. This is the one that can drive you the furthest, if you will. You've got that overarching statement. You've got a set of identified and deeply held values. What's important to you? It's important that I hold myself with utmost integrity. It's important that I am completely honest no matter what. All of those things, right? What are your deeply held values? Think about the top 5 roles that are most important to you in your life, right? I'm a mother, first and foremost. And then I'm a daughter. And then I'm a wife. And then I'm a friend. And then I'm a professional. Whatever those roles are, what are your top 5 roles? Because that'll center you around what matters most. So that to the extent you're not paying the attention you need to in those top 5 roles that you deem most important, you can course correct. And then, of course, you got to have a bunch of dreams, right? Make it fun. We all work really hard, right? We all should have a bucket list, or the top 100 things we want to do while we're alive, or before we die, or just in the next 2 years, whatever that looks like for yourself. So, again, think about drafting these things, your top 5 roles, the 100 things that you'd want to do in your life. Oh, I jumped ahead here. Anybody see the movie The Bucket List with Jack Nicholson? Great, fun movie. But everybody ought to have a bucket list, right? Identification of what are the things you want to do. Do you want to take singing lessons? Do you want to bungee jump? What do you want to do? Those things you've always wanted to kind of nail, right? Have that list and chip away at that list, because then you're actually working against something that makes you really happy.
15 seconds! No, wait, I can't do this! Sure you can! No, I can't! Really?
Can you turn it up?
It's not
Thanks.
the jump you're afraid of! The hell it's not! You're just afraid your chute won't open, and you'll show up at your own funeral as a Denver omelet! No, I'm pretty much just worried the chute won't open! No! Man's got some lungs! Let's hit the sill! Geronimo! Oh, yeah, beautiful! Pull the thing! Pull the cord! How about this, huh? This is living! I hate your rotten guts! Surrender to the void! Which one of these damn cords do you pull?
Don't touch it. We're not in the drop zone yet. We could wind up in the
Okay, let's deploy. I got a feeling I'm falling. We're in the red zone. Pull the cord. I got a feeling I'm falling in love. Pull the damn cord! I was in love once.
It was a cute movie. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of fun. Morgan Freeman's awesome too. Okay, so taking action. And we are 10 minutes away from being done. So I appreciate everyone staying with me. And everybody okay? Okay, cool. Okay, so is it easy to change your habits? Does everybody love go-karting and smashing into the family members that are on the track with you? That's the beauty of having younger kids. You're still doing fun stuff like paintball and airsoft and all sorts of good stuff. But anyway, it's not easy to change, right? But it is possible. And interestingly enough, when we look at the fact that 80% of people that have had a heart attack, those victims actually never change their style, their lifestyles. And the one predominant underlier behind the reason why they don't is because they don't have a buddy. They don't have somebody that they're holding themselves accountable to. And that's part of what you can do through this work is if you have a buddy or an accountability partner that you can agree, hey, I'm going to work on these 6 things, and you kind of state your intentions with each other, and then you check in with each other and hold each other's feet to the fire in a good way. That's part of what can help drive what is ultimately first a ritual, right? Something that you're forcing yourself to do, to then into a habit, which is something that's pulling you to do. And it generally takes you 21 days to do it. So when you feel like you're stuck and you're painted into a corner, or you're not quite sure how to begin, and you think about what can get in our way of making any change. Oh, this is too hard. It's easy for me to leave today and not do anything. I'll just keep on keeping on. It's going to take too long. I'm not going to see the benefits right away. Am I going to have to do this forever? This is a lifestyle change. These are things that you can do that can make a difference, and the momentum will build itself. I promise you that. So when you think about change versus transition, change, okay, I'm going to do the following 6 things, heretofore. Well, change is very logical, very rational, right? It's the intellectual side of your brain. When you go to actually make the change and continue in that transition, that's when it becomes very emotional and very psychological. And so you can just expect that you're going to hit that curve, the valley of despair, right? The time you decide to make the change to the time you begin to adapt to the change, and you're now exploiting the change and you're starting to kind of come up out of it, and you've actually created a new habit. That takes time. That takes 21 days. So whatever you're marking down for yourself that you might try to do different for the next 21 days, just keep in mind, you're going to want to talk yourself out of it. Try not to hang around with people who'll help talk you out of it. Just get it done and know that in 21 days it's going to become much more of a habit and therefore much easier for you to do. Okay, so great quote, right? Repeating the same behavior and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. A little bit of a motivator to say, look, whether it's, God, I got to start eating healthier, or I have to, stop maybe having 3 glasses of wine a week, whatever it is for you, that to just understand that if I just keep on keeping on doing what I'm doing, don't be alarmed when you find there's been no change and you're in status quo, right? But that's this inertia that can keep you down too. You've got to break through that over a 21-day cycle. And so you really need to kind of stay within your own circle of influence, right? Understand that your destiny is largely in your own control. Really stay away from the naysayers or people that may kind of try to deter you from what you're trying to accomplish, because you can do anything that you set your mind to, absolutely anything. And so when we look at the 4 elements again, around the need for that capacity of physical, the quality of emotional, the mental focus, the purpose, all of these together, again, remember that leaky bucket, you kind of need all of them to build the sustained energy and peak personal performance. I want to show you the video that you probably have all seen, but it was Sully, who was the pilot of the US Airway Flight 1549 that had to make an emergency landing on the Hudson River. Who has seen that video or kind of remember that on 60 Minutes? Very powerful. You will see this man who has got it all aligned, purposeful, focus, the direction of his energy required to safely land that plane was just absolutely amazing. Here's his interview.
The only viable alternative, the only level, smooth place sufficiently large to land an airliner was the river.
Was it in your sight?
It was right to my left.
You contacted air traffic control again, didn't you?
Yes. I said we're going in the Hudson.
That decision to go in the Hudson was made 2.5 minutes into the flight, and just 1 minute after the birds had hit. Sullenberger and his co-pilot, Jeff Skiles, started preparing to land on the water.
What kinds of things did you have to think about or worry about in the process of that?
As soon as I assumed control of the aircraft, I turned the engine ignition on. So if there was any chance of a relight, we would have gotten it automatically. The next thing I did was I started the auxiliary power unit, another small jet engine that we used to provide electrical power for the airplane.
What happened when you all tried to do those things?
No luck. I got the AP running, I turned the ignition on, but still no usable thrust. We were descending rapidly toward the water.
So you were going fast toward the earth?
Yes, the water was coming up at us fast.
Do you think about the passengers at that moment?
Not specifically. I mean, more abstractly, perhaps. I mean, I knew I had to solve this problem. I knew I had to find a way out of this box I found myself in.
Did you at any point pray?
I would imagine somebody in back was taking care of that for me while I was flying the airplane.
About 155 people?
I think my focus at that point was so intensely on the landing.
You couldn't think of anything else?
I thought of nothing else.
There were just 3.5 minutes for Captain Sullenberger to accomplish what only a few commercial airline pilots had ever done, and he was determined to avoid the fate of this Ethiopian airliner, which landed in the Indian Ocean in 1996 and broke into pieces, killing most of the passengers on board.
That's what I was trying to avoid.
What were some of the things you had to do to make this landing successful?
I needed to touch down with the wings exactly level. I needed to touch down with the nose slightly up. I needed to touch down at a decent rate that was survivable. And I needed to touch down just above our minimum flying speed, but not below it. And I needed to make all these things happen simultaneously.
And yet you had to keep your cool.
Right. The physiological reaction I had to this was strong, and I had to force myself to use my training and force calm on the situation.
Was that a hard thing to do?
No, it just took some concentration.
Did it feel like 3.5 minutes?
Yes, it did.
Really?
Really.
It wasn't in slow motion or...
I wish it had been. I might have thought about more things on the way down.
Tell me what you saw from the cockpit.
I saw the river ahead of me, long, wide, with boats at the south end. We were trained to land in the water near other boats to facilitate rescue. That was where the airplane was headed, and that was a good place to go.
90 seconds before hitting the water, Captain Sullenberger made an announcement to the passengers and crew. 3 simple words: brace for impact.
I made the brace for impact announcement in the cabin, and immediately through the hardened cockpit door, I heard the flight attendants begin shouting their commands in response to my command to brace. Heads down, stay down. I could hear them clearly. They were chanting it in unison over and over again to the passengers to warn them and instruct them. And I felt very comforted by that. I knew immediately that they were on the same page, that if I could land the airplane, that they could get them out safely.
But there was still a big if.
I was sure I could do it.
Isn't that amazing? That's just, I was Googling some of the earlier, when they released some of the flight communication, and they were trying to get him over to Teterboro, and I guess he understood that he wasn't going to make it over to Teterboro and said, no, I'm going to land in the Hudson. And it was just so deliberate and so definitive and so purposeful. And so he had such calm about it, which is just unbelievable. And the folks that he was talking to on the ground, started getting some of the rescue boats available, knowing that they were going to kind of approach real fast once the plane safely landed. And so he did a remarkable job. And you look at this guy, and he's just incredibly inspiring. So again, just to kind of, we're near wrapping here. The building of the new habits is the ability to kind of link the change. So you've got this purpose, right? And then you say, okay, this is what I want to go after. These are some of the things I want to do to change so that I can get after this more quickly. So kind of linking the change to your purpose helps kind of ground it for yourself. Understand that it's going to take 21 days, and you should start it within the next 24 hours. Nothing keeps us from starting it while we're here at a conference. Focus on what you want to do. Don't focus on what you don't want to do, right? That's just the difference between positive versus negative approach. So really focus on what you want. And just focus on a few specific changes. Be very precise in what those look like in terms of the time you'll do it or what you'll accomplish, the behavior. And again, put yourself around people that are supportive, have an accountability partner or a buddy. Call a friend, phone a friend, expect resistance. no big deal, right? You just kind of keep on going. And as far as the quick wins through the course of the time we've had together, right, we know we've got to eat breakfast. Eat it within 60 minutes of waking up. It's really important, even if you're swigging down a glass of orange juice, especially if you're working out. Take frequent breaks throughout the course of the day. Say thank you. Be grateful. Have some gratitude. Show appreciation. Do walking meetings if you want to take people and go for a walk outside, or do stand-up meetings. Turn off the device, right? Turn off the BlackBerry. No BlackBerry, no electronics during dinner. Spend time at dinner talking about, how the day was, and, that's one of the things we try to do with the kids, because the 13-year-old is really tied to I think he's got a girlfriend. He's not told me because I'm not cool, but my husband filled me in. But, the point is they're on it all the time now. It's like, okay, none of those devices, and that's just a ground rule, and then we bought this little box that you can get in gift stores that have like these questions you can ask, like family questions, and people, we take turns picking it, who's your hero, and just conversation starters, or, what are you most grateful? What's the best thing that happened to you today? And each one of us will go around and say it. Just little things to slow you down, right? Look for what's going well. Drive home a different way. Start a bucket list and then start picking things off the bucket list. Last question for you all. And in 2009, the question is this: who had the most watched video in the world on YouTube and the #1 best-selling pop album in the United States? A, Paul McCartney. B, Carrie Underwood. C, Justin Bieber. D, none of the above. By show of hands, who picked A? B? C? Okay, a few more. D, none of the above. All right, tell them what you've won, Bob. You guys can raid the prize tables. No, you can't. I'm only kidding. Actually, who won it was Susan Boyle. She's 52 today. This was the Great Britain Who's Got Talent. Did anybody see the replay or the original of Susan Boyle performing her song? And who saw that? Really cool. We're gonna show it again. Here's a woman who was slightly deprived of oxygen growing up, or when she was born, I should say. So she had some issue with developmental. She, wasn't the most pleasing person to look at. She had a lot of struggles with trying to keep going at it. She has a fantastic voice. She kept going at it and at it and at it in terms of being able to show her voice to the world. And here's the video.
Hello there.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
My name is Susan Boyle. I'm nearly 48, currently unemployed but still looking. And I'm going to sing for you on Britain's Got Talent today.
Little nervous.
Yeah, sure, no.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising, but, try and...
I've got a fighting mood, At the moment I live in the lawn with my cat called Pebbles. But I've never been married. Never been kissed. Oh, shame. But it's not an advert.
And have you done this for many a year?
Since I was 12.
Since you were 12?
I've always wanted to perform in front of a large audience. I'm going to make that audience rock.
Hi, what's your name, darling?
My name is Susan Boyle.
Okay, Susan, and where are you from?
I am from Blackburn near Bathgate, West Lothian.
It's a big town.
It's a sort of collection of... It's a collection of villages. I had to think there.
And how old are you, Susan?
I am 47. And that's just one side of me.
Okay, what's the dream?
I'm trying to be a professional singer.
And why hasn't it worked out so far, Susan?
I've never been given the chance before, but here's hoping it'll change.
Okay, and who would you like to be as successful as?
Elaine Page.
Elaine
Like
Page.
that.
What are you going to sing tonight?
I'm going to sing I Dreamed a Dream from the Miserables.
Okay. Big song.
Yeah? Yes.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
You didn't expect that, did you? Did you? No.
thank you very much. Susan Piers.
Without a doubt, that was the biggest surprise I have had in 3 years on the show. When you stood there with that cheeky grin and said, I want to be like Elaine Page, everyone was laughing at you. No one is laughing now. That was stunning. An incredible performance. Amazing. I'm reeling from shock about you two, but...
I am so thrilled because I know that everybody was against you. I honestly think that we were all being very cynical, and I think that's the biggest wake-up call ever. And I just want to say that it was a complete privilege listening to that. It was brilliant.
Susan, I knew the minute you walked out...
Oh, Simon!
On that stage, that we were going to hear something extraordinary, and I was right.
Quite a lot of tosh.
Susan, you are a little tiger, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know about that.
You are.
I don't know about that.
Okay, moment of truth. Here's yes or no.
The biggest yes I have ever given anybody.
Amanda?
Yes, definitely. Brilliant.
Susan Boyle, you can go back to the village with your head held high. It's 3 yeses.
I think you enjoyed that just a little.
Would it be half?
What a voice.
Incredible.
Congratulations.
Oh, my God.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
Bloody fantastic.
Piers says that's the biggest yes he's ever given on the show. In 3 series.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Mind-blowing.
Most extraordinary shock we've ever had.
Just so emotional. Unbelievable and emotional. And fantastic.
Okay, I wanted to thank you all for staying with me for the last couple of hours. I hope you have a fantastic conference. I hope you're able to take something away from this that you can action and feel really great about. And before I close out, John, were you going to come up for a few moments? We're gonna take a break. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great conference.